Decided to choose violence today. What's going on with you YouTube? Jumpman Chris here. We're coming back at y'all with another vid, man. And we're going towards the end of 2022. It's been a crazy year with shoes and in the sneaker world. A lot of shoes were hyped up, a lot of shoes were moving, but a lot of shoes, if you guys haven't noticed, has been going down. Now, a lot of shoes has been sitting. Thought it would be a good idea for a video. I think some people might get mad about it, but hey, just a fun little video. Doesn't mean the shoe, if I put on the list, is bad or anything like that. It's just like, hey, I did notice that at one point prices were high on these shoes, and then all of a sudden it just flopped down bad. I tell you, what does that tell you guys? Basically that reselling is not what it used to be. We're no longer 2020 and 2021, guys. You know, no one's getting any stimmy checks, no one's getting unemployment money or any free money. Reselling has definitely went down quite a bit in the past few months. Again, a lot of prices has been low and a lot of shoes has been sitting. Don't get me wrong, there are some shoes that are still going for some crazy bread, and there's some that's not. So I think this kind of just tells you how the world is. Like, you know, a lot of people are definitely more picky and choosy on shoes. And it kind of just tells you guys, like, hey, be a little patient, see what happens if you guys end up taking L's. Trust me, a lot of us do take L's, and we just have to buy it now, and then we pay for the sky high prices. Then a couple months or a couple weeks later, it goes straight down, and we kind of wish we waited. I want to talk about this list here in no order at all. Just talk about some shoes that would start off really hyped and really high, and then it just dropped down. Say, guys, this is all my opinion of this list. Does this mean that this shoe is terrible by any means? No. You know, buy what you like, wear what you like. It doesn't matter. All right, first things first, we gotta talk about is the Union 2s. Now, maybe when these first released, it was hyped up. You know, we had that whole Benjamin Kicks picture and all that stuff, and a lot of people took L's, and we don't even have to talk about the release. It was just, I know that Nike was trying to hype up with some Air Jordan 2s. And remember, when these first came out, it was kind of high. I guess even like the Ratans or Ratatas and even the Gray Fogs. Like the Ratats, this was a Union exclusive. This was their big release of the year. And I think I want to say that prices, even, you know, maybe even big sizes were touching around like 400 to like even high 300s. If you look at prices now, small sizes are even going way under retail, like at 150 at lowest ask, which is crazy to me. That's like $50 under ask. I know if you were to buy these things at Union plus the shipping and tax and all that, you're looking about $230 to you, and now they dropped down to way under retail. Sad to say it about Union, man. They had a good thing going, but I think after this release, kind of went down a little bit. The other one that came out earlier this year was the UNC 6. Now remember, these probably came out like maybe 10 to 11 months ago, so maybe some people forgot about it. I actually really like this shoe. You know, I know a lot of hype on the UNC colorway, and I know some people's getting hyped on the UNC 5s that's coming out in 2023. But again, the UNC 6s, these things were probably around $500 to $400 after release date. I think some sizes maybe even touching like 300s. And if you look at sizes now and prices, you know, especially on small sizes, I think these things are even going under retail as well. Yeah, especially for a 6. Now, I even made a hold and sell video. A lot of people were saying, hey, definitely hold is a UNC colorway. All UNC colorways do very well, 3s and 4s in the past. But I was telling you guys, like, look, 6s, they usually don't do that crazy. You know, if you want to look at Travis Scott 6s, you know, they never really went up or down. But I'm just saying, like, UNC's, the model 6s, not majority of the whole sneaker community. It's not like a big hype silhouette or anything like that, which I do like this shoe. I truly do like this shoe. This is actually going to be probably one of my top 10 shoes of the year. You know, I like the whole colorway. I like, you know, the whole carmine colorway it has, and the material is actually okay. But again, prices on these things are really low. One that I felt was pretty kind of, I think is actually underrated in my opinion. But if you guys want to talk about the DJ Khaled Air Jordan 5s, these things were hyped up when they first was announced. They even had a shock drop. I think these things started off like at high 300s, and now these things are probably around like that 250 range, maybe even some sizes under retail, especially the other colorway, which is the crimsons. Again, I think it's an underrated shoe, great material. You know, it is a collab, we the best, but again, the colorway and stuff like that, and it's came around the time where it was just very clustered with releases. Like, we just got the Lost and Founds and Alma Menieres, and they're gonna drop 100,000 pairs of these DJ Khaled 5s. Again, I get it, it's cool and all, but they're not really doing anything crazy. Could they? Eventually, maybe, possibly, but as of right now, not so much. On the list, I could talk about J Balvin 2s, another Air Jordan 2 J Balvin 2s. Remember, these things retail at $300, which was crazy to me. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be like the J Balvin 1s. Again, they start off high, and those went down. Crazy looking colorway. J Balvin 2s, I feel like it got some hype, but I think they end up sitting because it kind of came at the time when, you know, sneakers wasn't all that crazy. And again, it's a Jordan 2, and also retail at $300. These things are going for way up. Like, I think lowest ask is $220, which they should be anyways. Like, these things should have been, things shouldn't even touch $300 retail. I mean, I get it. Has a little light and everything, and it had the name J Balvin collab. But again, you know, with this colorway, I thought it was just a little too much. I didn't cop them, especially knowing that the battery is not irreplaceable and on the tongue. And again, it's like I said, retail for $300 plus tax. You're looking about $320, something like that. This one was pretty hyped up, but again, you know, it still has the name, the Cactus plant, you know, in the Nike Flea, the collab. It just looks a little crazy. I know that the other Cactus plants with the diamonds, those are going for like 3 bands, and a lot of people thought these things were going to do some crazy numbers too as well. But to me, it just looks a little crazy. It's the whole you know, Cactus Flea plant with the forest and that Grinch looking. These things were pretty hyped up, sold out instantly. I remember before the release, unreleased, people wanted like $1,500 for these. I wouldn't say these things flopped, but I mean, like, these things going for like $300, you know, for this type of shoe. And I think the retail was $190, so it's still some bread to be made. But from what these things, a lot of people thought they're going to be, I think a lot of people think they're going to be like, you know, close to like $1,000 just because of the name and the whole McDonald's line and all that stuff. I wouldn't say it's a flop, so maybe it shouldn't be on the list, but I just at least want to talk about it, you know. I even mentioned eBay dunks, I guess. I mean, they're going for not that much after the sneakers release. I think there was a decent amount of pairs, but I mean, weren't these things going for like crazy amount of money for auctions on eBay? And they even have a pack too as well, which comes with like a saw and stuff. And I get the whole story and everything. But like, me, in my opinion, this is one I'm not really feeling, in my opinion, you know, especially with the whole, like, I saw a picture someone was wearing with no socks. That is a big no-no. Going for much anyways. I think before they released, these things were really high. Like, they were extremely high. Like I said, they even had an auction and all that stuff. But Travis Scott's, now remember, also Travis Scott, they still have some hype to it. I'm still looking for the Black Phantom. But the Air Maxes, the Gold joints, and also the trainee joints that came out earlier this year. Now the trainee ones, they had like 2 different colorways, which was a brown and the blue one, I want to say. Those are going for way under retail right now. This was you know, Travis Scott comeback release, you know, remember with that whole thing with you know, the Travis Scott festival and all that. So he just kind of take a little time off and finally released some shoes with Nike. It was the trainees that came out first, then the Air Maxes, they finally released them. But remember, the Air Maxes, especially even the gold ones and the brown ones, these things were like, before the release, was like $1,000, even probably a little more than that, like $800 before the release, because no one knew that these were going to come out again. And even the trainees, those things were like going for like $300 before the release and stuff like that. But as you guys saw it, they kind of went down quite a bit. The gold joints, depending on sizes, I think like a size 9 is going for like retail like $250, $220, something like that. Trainees are going for way under retail. And like I said, if you would have just waited, could have saved some money. And if I would have paid like $1,000 for these things, and these things are now at $250, I might feel a certain way. This was pretty hyped up, I want to say, especially the first release. After the first release, the first one, they were going for like $500 on bigger sizes. They released 3 times already, restocked. Now they're like at $200, $250. But if I even want to talk about the gold ones, these things are going for under retail. Some like $80 or $100. The Tom Sachs, I think a lot of people thought they were gonna do numbers like, you know, the Mars yards. Those things are going for like 5 bands. You know, they thought they were gonna probably go a little crazy. But again, this is, you know, he made it to where like majority of the people can try to get them. Even though I don't really like how they do the release. I haven't even got a retail W yet. The yellow joints, wasn't feeling those at all. These things look ugh. But the regular ones, they're okay to me. But again, it's more of like a boring shoe. Not sure if anyone really feeling them. You know, obviously the release is crazy. They sell out every time they do a restock. And then also the whole passport pack of the Union Dunks. Is this kind of cause for the Union name is not really up to what it used to be? You know how it is with the 4s and the 1s. Then we got the Union Dunks again. I think the pistachio, this was supposed to be, I think this was a Union exclusive, and then these came in sneakers, and then these came in other tier 0 stores, I think. And then, you know, obviously these things were really high at first, even before the release. I think a lot of people were asking like $1,200 at some sneaker events. I was like, what? and these colorways here, you got the Aragons, Core Purples, which again, I actually like these things. These actually look pretty cool, and you can cut it and it has like whole leather behind it and all. But talk about price wise, the pistachios are actually still doing some decent numbers, but like they definitely dropped from what they were. They're now like at 200, 250. The other colorways went down even more. They're like at 200 and or like low 200s. I mean, they were pretty hyped up. It did have the Union name. This was the first release that came out this year in Union. It was a little hyped up at first when they first came out. It had the Union name. It even, you know, even the Dunk too as well, because Dunks is a little hyped up, but just didn't hold up, you know, in resale price too much. For my list of shoes that were hyped at first and then flopped, a couple of ones I'll mention. I mean, even though I do like the Rebellionaires, again, I think like I said before, prices, I think people went like $500 before the release. Now they're like at retail prices, and you know, with the Air Jordan ones, it's not as hyped what it used to be anymore. You know, it just is what it is. You know, I get it, the lost and founds are still crazy, but other colorways just don't really do it. I actually like these things. I like that X in the back. The wording's a little crazy though, but one I'll also talk about that went down on resale prices, also the Trophy Room 7s. I'll mention that because, hey, I took a flight and went down to pick these things up at Trophy Room. Hey, it was still worth it for the content and get to hang out with the homies, and was able to pick up a pair of Trophy Room 7s. But again, if I would have just waited and I could have copped these things for resale, even though I wouldn't have to go through all the motions of, you know, picking them up and have that content and all that, to me it's still worth it. But if I look at the price now, these things are like what, close to retail, like mid 200s, but it's okay. It's still one of my favorite shoes that came out this year, even though they're not going for much. But hey, like I said, it's just a list that I want to talk about to you guys. It's just remind you guys, like, hey, shoes can start off really high at first, but you just never know what's gonna happen down the road, you know? And vice versa, some shoes can start off really low and it just creeps up high. Like I said, again, there's gonna be some shoes that are gonna be worth a lot of money and it's going for the high, but there's definitely gonna be some shoes out there that is not going for much at all. So what I tell you guys, just be a little patient on shoes, see what they do. Hopefully the price goes down and you'll be able to cop the shoes you guys want. Anyway guys, I will do a whole top 10 and all that good stuff. We'll probably do some like what, top 10 most underrated, maybe top 10 most overrated. We'll do some fun stuff like that too as well. So anyway guys, just want to say I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. If you guys don't mind, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe if it's your first time here, comment down below, and please hit that bell for all the notifications when I do drop vids. And don't forget to follow me on my social media at German Chris on IG, something on Twitter, and don't forget Snapchat. I'm also on TikTok. Anyway guys, appreciate y'all, love y'all. I'm German Chris. Peace.